Okay. So we're gonna pretend we're listening to the music. Dun, da, 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 bum, da, bum, da, da. Hey guys! Well, that was too loud. Hey guys! Welcome to Quarter Twins, episode 15.
Wow.
We've done it 15 times now. And we're here today with 2 guests. We've doubled our guest count. Now we're 4. So this is 1 full twin. We've increased our twinnage from 2 quarters to 4 quarters.
Yes.
Now 4 quarters still only equals $1. So maybe our value as individuals has decreased.
Yeah.
Reverse inflation.
We are, less than the sum of our parts.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's okay. But we are here today with our sisters, with our cousins, the 4 of us, a J, a K, a J, and a K.
Yes.
We have Joshua, myself, Jordan over there for me. Who's this right next to me? I guess they wouldn't know. It's Kelsey.
Who's to say?
Introduce yourself, Kelsey.
Me. I'm Kelsey. Hello. Jordan's sister.
Jordan's sister, my cousin.
Yes.
Yep.
And up here
Yep.
above me,
Is me, Caitlin.
Caitlin. My sister, everyone else's cousin.
Yes.
How cool is it that our parents alphabeticalized our names? The boys are J's and the girls are K's. It's perfect.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
JK.
There's a lot of coordination in the Blocker family.
It's very
All
true.
There really is.
Our
Cool.
mom's
Maybe
other
too
sister,
much.
all of their kids are all A names. Well, and then there's another J. So
Right.
Yeah.
there's lots of J's.
There are so many J's.
K's and yeah.
J's, K's, A's, and
Jim,
a couple,
James.
like 1 S.
Brian.
Yeah.
Right.
One Dan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Dan.
Dan,
Dan. What a guy, that guy.
What a guy.
Corey. Corey's a part of our
Corey?
family.
Corey.
Oh yeah, one C.
Justin.
Justin's
a
another
J
J.
Ah,
Welcome
Oh,
back
Yay.
okay.
to the J's. All right, enough about us.
Jim and Georgia.
Jim and Georgia, Jesse.
Yeah.
There's so many
plenty.
J's. You can't stop naming them.
Shout out to all of them.
Shout out to the Blonker, Raisler, Thompson, Weaver, Neelys. They're great. So many of us.
They're all great. Yes. We'll get everybody on the podcast one day.
Oh yeah, that'll be
crazy.
exciting. We'll have to do a Zoom call.
Yeah.
That'll be great.
Mm.
Today, we are going to be gathering the 4 of us to talk about the Harry Potter franchise, sans the Fantastic Beasts movies, because who really wants to talk about those? We're going to talk about the main Harry Potter films from Sorcerer's Stone to Deathly Hallows Part 2. And I thought we would start by thanking our listeners. Well done. Thank you guys for listening. We just hit 500 plays on Anchor. Shout out to Anchor for sponsoring the podcast. We love them so much. And where was I going with that, Jordan?
It's pretty cool.
It is. It's pretty cool.
500 plays on Spotify and all that other stuff, plus YouTube and all of that.
Yes, don't forget to watch the YouTube, guys.
Yeah.
22
Oh, I
subscribers.
did want to. I need to make an amendment. Last week I was hyping up the fact that the video version would be on Spotify as well, and then turns out that I spent like 4 hours in the middle of the night emailing Spotify and customer service and be like, somebody tell me how to get this freaking video on Spotify, and that nobody would give me an answer. And then a couple days later they were like, yeah, you can't do that. We can't put the video on there, but we can't put our ads on there with the video, so it's a whole thing. So anyway,
That's
the
okay,
video's
though.
on YouTube.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all good. We're here. It's happening. It's
Mhm.
great times.
It's wonderful. It truly is. We're excited about it. Let's just jump in to Harry Potter. We have some preliminary questions before we just talk about all the movies individually, and we're going to rank them as well at the end. All four of us have our own rankings, and we are going to put them in order and potentially discuss passionately about the quality of these films. So let's start with Caitlin. She knows, she's probably the highest level connoisseur of Harry Potter. So we have dubbed her. Hopefully she can measure up to the hype we've given her. Just kidding.
Wow, pressure's on.
We were going to ask you a couple questions here. When was your first experience with Harry Potter?
Yeah, so I think it has to have been just when I was in elementary school and the first movie was coming out. I don't remember if we'd read the books before we knew they were making it into a film or not, because I know they were pretty popular in general, but I think the movies really like shot the books like out into the world, especially in the States, because J.K. Rowling is from England. So I think that we might have started reading the first book, my dad and I, together, in preparation to see the first movie. That's what I remember anyway. So I remember reading the book with my dad. He would like read it out loud to me at night. It was so cute. And yeah, we read almost all the books that way until maybe the seventh one. I literally think we read all of them until the seventh one. And then I read, or maybe we just like read them at the same time once I was in high school. But yeah, I think I read through all the books, read the last one at least by myself. And then we saw all the movies in the theaters together, me and my dad. And yeah, loved every minute. Couldn't wait for the premieres. It was the best.
And you guys, you got the special early screenings, right? Where you were like,
Yeah.
a couple days before the actual release, you get some
Yeah,
secret
so
screenings.
Dad's company at Intel, they have some cool programs that they do, special benefits for their employees. And so one time they got tickets to go see, they call it a pre-premiere or whatever. And they raffled them away at his work. And so he won them two movies in a row. So we got to see Seven Part 1 and I believe Seven Part 2. Before it was basically like if the movie would come out at midnight in the theater, we got to see it at like 10 p.m. or 7 p.m., something like that that night before the midnight premiere. So you felt really special when you go to that theater, like everybody's dressed up. They've got their like cloaks and scarves on, or what they're carrying, their wands or whatever. I think we just had t-shirts, but yeah, it was really fun.
Right on, right on. And the two of us have been to the Wizarding World in Orlando.
Yeah.
We were there opening weekend, if I'm not mistaken. Or at least like...
I don't know if it was the weekend, but it was for sure like that month or that winter. Like we were there within the first year of it being open, I know.
And it was like, it was hard to walk around because it was so packed.
Yeah. We got that butter beer.
Crazy. Oh yeah, butter beer.
That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
I think I remember one year we were visiting you guys, and you had maybe just come from there, or you guys had scarves.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys, or I remember Caitlin at least being super hyped for the last movie, or emotionally distraught because of the last movie or something. I don't know. All right.
You know what? I kind of remember that. I think you guys were there on vacation when Jim and Georgia moved to Oregon. And I think it was like that same week we got to go see the movie or something.
Yeah, you know, it probably was. Or,
That
yeah, it was
sounds right.
2010.
That's what I remember, yeah.
2010 was the first.
The first
definitely
Deathly
Hallows,
Hallows.
probably.
Right on.
Yeah.
Crazy.
there you
I
go.
remember that too.
Okay,
Crazy.
and
Wow.
for Caitlin again, we have just all taken a Wizarding World sanctioned official house sorting quiz of sorts, and we wanted to know what your house was, Caitlin, if you could tell us.
Yes, my house that was sorted, I've been sorted into, was Hufflepuff. Now, I am very shocked.
Wow.
I am surprised.
I'm so
I would have
disappointed.
told you Gryffindor. I would have been all about it. But yeah, I think I I'm not that kind of brave, run into the woods. Like, I don't want to head towards danger kind of person, you know?
Yeah.
I care about people, you know? I want to not, I want to make friends. I want other people to have friends, but I might not save your life. You know what I mean?
That sounds like a Hufflepuff to me.
Yeah, sounds great.
That's
Yeah,
perfect.
thank you.
And did you take the? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, some fellow Hufflepuffs that was listed to me include Cedric Diggory, who
Oh.
is, I would say, a brave soul for being a Hufflepuff,
He was,
and
yes.
Newt Scamander, who
Oh, Newt.
is a kind of goofball. So those are
There
pretty
you
good.
go.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So good.
Well, that's fun. Did you get a Patronus or a wand? There were other quizzes on there as well.
Yeah, I didn't find those in time. I couldn't find them on the website. But I do know when we went to the Wizarding World,
Right.
I picked out Hermione's wand, and it's very beautiful. It was like carved with leaves. It was so pretty, and I'm almost certain I have it here now, even in my adult home. Pretty sure I still have my wand. So,
Yeah,
I
I
always see those at. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Josh.
Oh, I was just gonna say, when I went to the Wizarding World, I hadn't read or seen any of the movies really, because I watched Chamber of Secrets and was terrified, had nightmares for a long time. Scary basilisk snake. So I was there, cynical little teenage Joshua, and I bought Slytherin scarf and a Voldemort wand, and I was like edgy, like, "Hehe, I'm gonna be the villain."
Yeah.
So,
What?
but it turned me
Draco
around,
Malfoy.
I got to see the world and how hype everybody was, and then I started reading the books, and I was like, hey, this is pretty good. So,
yeah, sweet.
there you have
There
it.
you go.
I guess I'll just keep talking about myself here, and then we can move into the next person, because this is kind of I'm answering the question here.
Yes.
So, I grew up in the same house as Caitlin, so I tried a couple times, like me and her had watched Sorcerer's Stone plenty of times. It's one of the greatest movies. I love Sorcerer's Stone. It's like the only really happy movie. But then Chamber of Secrets scared me, so I turned away from Harry Potter. But, my room is like 10 feet from Caitlin's, so I could hear them reading the books together. Kind of bummed out I didn't get involved in that, but that's okay. No, I'm just messing around. It's fine. So I had kind of like always been turned away from Harry Potter, and then we went to the Wizarding World and we rode the Hippogriff, and I missed out on the Golden Egg dragon test from Goblet of Fire ride. I don't know. I'm not a big roller coaster guy. It's not a big deal. So that's whatever. But we had the butterbeer. We got wands. We didn't do the Ollivander wand tour thing, because you could like go into the shop and get your specific wand that they would have for you or whatever. I just got Voldemort's wand and Slytherin scarf and stuff like that. And then I started reading the books and fell in love with the story. It's really cool. Started watching all the movies, got over myself and watched the movies, and really enjoyed it. And then just recently watched them all with one of my roommates who hadn't seen any of them. And it was, honestly, I gotta say, watching a movie you like with someone else who hasn't seen it is like one of the best ways to experience film. I think it's so much fun. It like opens your eyes to it. It's the closest we can get to experiencing something again for the first time, which is something people talk about all the time. Like, oh, I wish I could just watch Lost again for the first time. That would be fun. That show was crazy.
I never saw Lost, so maybe we need to sit down and
Oh, man.
watch Lost.
Let's
Oh,
do
you
it.
have to watch
I
Lost.
haven't either.
Sidebar.
That's such a good show. Yeah, so for me, I took the Wizarding World tests here, and believe it or not, my house is Slytherin. I
No.
am a
What?
villain.
No.
No,
No
I
way.
genuinely took the test hoping I'd be a Hufflepuff, because I think that is where I align actually the most. But knowing the houses so much, you take the quiz and you kind of know which answers are gonna be for which house.
Yeah.
And I guess subconsciously I was destined to be a Slytherin. So,
Man.
and we all know plenty of the fellow Slytherins. You got your Dracos, your Snapes, your Bellatrix Lestranges, all those great characters. So, that's me, a Slytherin. My Patronus is a dun mare, which is a horse. Big horse. So, that's cool, I guess.
Nice.
And my wand is a redwood wood with a unicorn. Wow, I can read. A unicorn hair, 14-inch, subtle flexibility.
Wow.
I don't know
14 inches.
what any of that means. Yeah, it's a long one.
That's a long wand.
So that's a wand. I really don't know if there's anything about the wands that matters, but it's cool, I guess. So that's me. Let's move over to Kelsey. We're doing girl, boy, girl, boy.
All right. So Jordan and I were not allowed to watch Harry Potter when we were children.
Yes.
So, but I
Yes.
do remember hearing you guys talk about it all the time.
We judged
and
you guys
I-
hardcore for
I think
engaging
I
in the
just had-
satanic.
Yeah, wizarding. Yeah.
Not really though.
No. I had FOMO, I'm pretty sure. Because I do remember being there, I think when you were going to see whatever movie it was, the last one.
Yeah.
Probably. And yeah, having FOMO and wanting to know what was going on, but I had no context for any of it.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't watch the movies really until the summer after I graduated college. I watched them all through that summer, and then I've watched them all through one more time since then. But I'm currently reading the books. I'm in the middle of The Order of the Phoenix right now. It's taking me forever to get through it because it's so long. But that's been fun, reading them all. So,
I remember when you first watched the movie and you texted me and you were like, Caitlin, I'm watching Sorcerer's Stone or something. And I was like, oh my gosh, finally.
yeah, I know. I was like, Caitlin's gonna love this.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. Good times.
Fantastic. And you took the quizzes there?
I did. I am also a Hufflepuff.
Ooh, shout out the Hufflepuffs.
So you're not the only one, Caitlin. I honestly don't even there's not I don't know that much about Hufflepuffs. Hufflepuffs? Hufflepuffs.
I like
not-
Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuffs.
Yeah. I feel like there's not that much about them. But there we are. My Patronus is a white mare.
Oh.
So there's that.
Oh.
And then my wand is willow wood
Ooh.
with a dragon core,
Ooh.
11.5 inches, and quite bendy flexibility.
Quite bendy.
Quite bending.
Whatever that means.
I think
Yeah.
if I want to try to rationalize the flexibility into the lore or whatever, that's how willing the wands are to defect to other people, because the wands choose the wizard, but then they also
Right.
have their personalities to them, where they can if you won them in battle, then they'll change sides or whatever. So maybe that's it. If it's very rigid, then it won't accept other people, but I don't know.
Maybe.
Because he when Ollivander's giving Harry wands, he's bending them all. He's heartstring. He's put it up into his ear. He's yes.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Jordo, hit us.
Oh man, yeah. Obviously, similar. Me and Kelsey are siblings, so had the same experience growing up. We're not allowed to engage in anything involving Harry Potter, and I wasn't really. I wasn't interested in it, to be totally honest. I'm not a reader, so I wasn't interested in reading those books, and yeah, we weren't allowed to watch it, so I just didn't see them, I guess. So I went many years of my life. I saw them I watched them all for the first time during the pandemic, I think, is when I watched them. So very
A good time to
recently.
watch a bunch of movies.
Yeah. So watched those all for the first time during the pandemic. I'll admit I was like, this is a lot of movies, and so so I started with the Deathly Hallows movies,
Oh,
which was probably not a great decision.
Was it
but,
confusing? Like when you watched them, were you just totally confused?
I mean, kind of. Yeah. I mean, obviously, when I watched the rest of them, more things made sense. But I enjoyed the Deathly Hallows when I watched them first. I was just like, I don't want to go through how many 2, 4, 6 movies before the final one. Like, that's too many movies. Anyway, I
and they
watched
split up the
those.
finale into 2 parts.
Yeah, right. So they were confusing, but I liked them, and then I finished the series because I liked it so much. And Sam's a Harry Potter fan too, so she kind of got me into it as well. And yeah, so I watched them through that time, and just watched them all the way through again for this thing. And my house is also Hufflepuff, so
What?
Josh was in the minority.
Oh, nuts.
But he also said
Man.
he feels like a Hufflepuff.
I do.
on the
I was
inside,
hoping
so
for Hufflepuff. So
I think
We're
we're
all
all
the
very
same.
similar in
that's hilarious. It's probably just a one
my-
question difference. I said something too ambitious
Yeah,
and
probably.
cunning to be
My Patronus is a Manx cat, which I like because I love cats.
Ooh.
So I thought that was cool. Got a cat.
Nice.
My wand is either pine or Nordic cherry. That's an office joke.
my gosh.
Whoever gets that. It is my wand is pine wood. The few office fans, this will think that's really funny.
I got you.
Unicorn core,
nice.
11-inch length, and solid flexibility.
Oh.
So
Mm.
pretty rigid,
Very
I
nice.
guess.
Yeah, mine was supple.
Oh.
Supple.
Supple flexibility.
Gross.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. So, as the resident Slytherin here, I'll just lead us into Sorcerer's Stone. We got to talk about all the movies here as we go, and then we'll rank them here at the end. Sorry to anybody who wants these podcasts to be shorter. This one might be a long one because we got 8 movies to talk about, and we're going to rank them all. So, let's just do it. Okay, Sorcerer's Stone comes out 2001, directed. This is the first of the 2 Chris Columbus movies. So, Harry, Ron, Hermione are introduced to the wizarding world. It's their first year at Hogwarts. Things are already going awry. What are your guys' what's the first word? Initial is the one I'm thinking of. What are your guys' initial thoughts of the wizarding world going into it? I guess it doesn't work too much with Jordan because he watched the finale first. So we'll start with Kelsey on this one. This is your first movie. How good, how bad was it? Were you like, you watched this and you're like, I have to watch all these? This is what people were hype about?
No, I
No.
don't think I thought that.
That's good.
I think I liked it because it's more, I think you said this before, but it's more fun and lighthearted, like not super dark. So you see more of the just like the fun spells and stuff like that. It's always funny watching this one because the kids they're all so small and cute and just like, I like that. It's just so funny because they're so little. But yeah.
Right
good
on.
vibes.
We like Quirrell as a villain in this one.
Oh yes.
He is that was one of the
Man.
things that I think our mom didn't like was the like when he turns around at the end and he's got the weird Voldemort head on the back.
Yeah.
That's pretty weird.
Yeah,
Yes.
super weird.
I think it's crazy because I think they do such a good job like disguising who the real villain is. Because when you don't know anything, you think Snape is the bad guy.
For sure.
You know? And so it's like he's a great Quirrell is a great villain because he's like undetected for so long. So it's like a really cool twist. So yeah.
No, that's a
Yeah.
good call. Because even all the way up to the very end, like they think that they're chasing Snape,
Yeah.
and it's all about him and how evil he is. And when Harry looks at him, his scar burns and all that sort of stuff. And in the scene in the Quidditch match with the Jinx, and you see Snape is like mouthing the words, but you look at Quirrell and he's over there like saying it in his head. You can kind of see him like not mouthing it, but like you can see him like focusing. So
Yeah. Well,
Snape
because you
is-
remember Snape is doing like the counter spell.
right?
To
Yeah,
save it, but you don't know. And so
Yes.
it's so good.
So
Oh,
good.
Snape is so good.
I
Yeah,
love Snape. He's a great character.
he might be
Alan
my
Rickman.
favorite character. Oh, shout
Just,
out Alan
just
Rickman.
an amazing performance by Alan Rickman in every movie. He's
Oh,
he's
yeah.
the highlight. I love his mannerisms and just how like absurd he is, and like he's so extra. He's just like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
bursting into rooms and smacking people on the head. And
There will be no foolish wand waving and spell incantations in this class.
the way he talks and everything is just so good.
so
He's
good.
amazing.
So much fun.
Yeah.
And then we'll obviously talk about it, but just like the emotional character arc at the very end
Mm.
Yeah.
hits really well too, but we can talk
Mm.
about that later.
He is tremendous. He really is.
Tremendous.
Let's see. What else is there? I should have written some questions down or something for all these.
Oh, Dumbledore is played
Oh,
by
yeah.
an actor
Mm.
whose name
Oh.
escapes me, but not Michael
actor.
Gambon.
Right.
Mhm.
He's a little bit more like classic wizard, I feel like.
He's more
Kinda
aloof.
Yeah, he's a little bit more fun, maybe. Michael Gambon's Dumbledore is a little bit like he's not a super nice dude.
Harry, did you put your name in the goblet of fire?
He's kind of rude all the time and kind of angry.
Yeah.
And I love
I looked it up, and the first Dumbledore was Richard Harris.
Richard Harris.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There you go.
I don't know if he
Yeah.
died or if he.
I
just
think he
didn't want to
did,
come
yeah.
Back, but
Yeah. So this, the first search that came up said that he died after playing the character in 2 films, but I'm pretty sure he's only in the first one. So I don't know if maybe they had him cast or something, and then he didn't, obviously ever film anything. But
Maybe, yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, that's too bad. I thought, yeah, that is an interesting point to bring up because he did kind of feel like the classic old wizard and kind of fit the book maybe a little bit more than Michael Gambon.
Like
But
a little bit more Gandalf, too.
right.
Like
Mhm.
that kind of personality.
Mm-hmm. I think he's still a good Dumbledore for the rest of the movies, but maybe not as much the character of the books. He kind of has his own spin to bring to it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
respect on both of those actors for playing the role. Something
Yeah.
I did want.
Oh, sorry.
No, mine's less important to say. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think the scene where Richard Harris is in the hospital wing, with Harry at the end of the movie, and they're eating the beans, and he says, "What does he say? It's definitely earwax or something." He's like, "Oh, I got earwax." It's just so funny because he doesn't flinch at all. Yeah, I think that it almost, I feel like that scene kind of like helped bridge the gap between the 2 Dumbledores without them really knowing that might happen, because I think before he's so calm and sweet and gentle, but then in that scene he makes this like silly weird joke and like is like earwax.
Yeah.
And then I think in the other movies the other Dumbledore is also kind of weird and silly, and so I almost feel like it kind of helps bridge that gap. Like it wasn't like this perfect angel Dumbledore and then a goofy Dumbledore, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's like an overanalyzation, but
No.
I
We're
always
here
look
for the
at it
overanalyzation. That's
so-
great.
Yeah, I think that scene at the end of the movie with the earwax is always, it catches you off guard. You're like, oh wow.
Alas, earwax.
Yeah.
One last thing before we move over to Chamber of Secrets. Unless, I mean, obviously we can continue to talk about this movie if other people have other things to
We
say.
can keep it moving along.
One thing I would like to track through the movie is Neville Longbottom and his glow up, because he
Yes.
I don't know that actor's name either. I don't know. I'm usually good with
Yeah, I
actors'
don't know.
names, but I can't think of his. He starts
Matthew
well.
Lewis.
He's still like a cute kid, right? But then like the middle of the movies, he's like really awkward, metamorphosizing teen, and then
Yeah.
Deathly Hallows comes in and he's like, "Whoa." So just thought
he's
I'd bring
got a
that
very
up. We can kind of track him throughout the movies here.
So true.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to know if I'm alone in this, but the chess scene where they're trying to get into the Chamber of Secret, or sorry, wherever the Sorcerer's
Yeah.
Stone is.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
always thought that scene is so dramatic, and like
Yeah.
I'm like, why can't Ron just jump off of the
Yeah.
knight or whatever he's on? Like, why is
Yeah.
it such a big deal that
Yeah.
this other guy's gonna come smash it? Like every time, I just don't understand.
That's so true. That is such a good point.
Have you guys seen the TikTok of that girl doing impressions of all of that scene?
No.
I think I've seen some of her stuff, but not that one specifically.
Yeah.
But
She's super funny about it too. I can't think of any of the lines, but she's like, you know, not me, not Hermione, you.
Yeah.
You know,
His,
it is.
Rupert Grint's accent is just so thick in these movies. It's kind of hard to understand what he's saying a lot of the times.
I know.
Ron, what are you saying?
Yeah.
I feel like it was almost one of those things where like Ron himself had to prove to himself that he could be brave, you know?
Mm.
And it's like it was almost like he had to do it even though he could have jumped off the horse. I don't know. It's like a weird like would the magic still have worked? Would the chess pieces still have moved if he wasn't riding the horse? Maybe not. So maybe he had to stay on.
There you go.
But yeah, I don't know. I think
Analysis.
he had to be brave for himself.
Yeah.
Right, a true Hufflepuff.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
That is something that I think about throughout the course of the movies, is that Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw kind of get like loser treatment throughout, because all the main characters are Slytherins or Hufflepuffs, and you really have this like light side, dark side kind of thing going.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think the books are that much better about it. You hear about like the prefects from Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw, I think a couple times, but I think that's something they could have tried to do a little bit better, is bring those other two houses in. I guess you have Luna. She's a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had that
So-
same thought, like wanted to bring that up, especially like in the last movie when McGonagall like sends all of Slytherin to the dungeon.
Oh yeah.
Like, I never understood why this story is just so focused on Gryffindor, and like, what is the point of Slytherin if they're all just automatically like evil children? like, isn't the narrative supposed to be like all of these characteristics, all four houses come together to form like the perfect like unity of personalities? But then it's just like Gryffindor are the good guys, Ravenclaw is the bad guys. The other two are just like kind of there when you need like a side character like Robert Pattinson, his name,
Yeah.
Cedric or Luna, or I don't know, is there even a main character that's Ravenclaw, or is Luna Ravenclaw
Is Luna Ravenclaw actually?
or Hufflepuff? I'm not sure.
Let's.
I don't know.
That's
Now
always
I
kind
think
of-
she
Oh,
might be a
yes,
Ravenclaw.
You might be right.
I think so, because she knows in that last movie she knows about
Diadem.
Mrs. Ravenclaw, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at Caitlin go, remembering all the words. Nice.
I know, thank you. I kind of feel like with the houses, it's almost like the Gryffindors are like the jocks, and then like
Yeah.
like Ravenclaws are like the theater kids, and like the Slytherins are like the emo kids, and like
Yeah.
the Hufflepuffs are like smart nerds, or I don't know. Like they all have like a I don't know if I named them all more than once, but they all like they have a role to play. but it's like if you were watching High School Musical, or something. It's like
Yeah.
it really only focus on like two main themes, and then there's side characters, but they're not as important. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like it's just because if you think about the original books, it was like a children's novel. So I almost feel like she made them have such specific kind of like personalities because it would relate to like kids in school, maybe.
Mm.
It is kind of weird that because it's not like they're like, oh yeah, the Slytherins are just the emo kids. It's like, no, they're actually evil.
Yeah.
They're like bad.
Yeah.
All of them are bad.
All of them.
Yeah. Make bad choices.
Yeah. And their house chamber is like underground with like windows into the muddy dark black lake, and they're like they have to be super edgy emo kids. That's kind of funny. Speaking of Slytherin, we're moving into the most Slytherin movie of all, The Chamber of Secrets. Nightmare fuel for me. Not really. This movie is kind of weird to me because we get Ginny Weasley comes in. The first Horcrux is in this movie as well. Tom Riddle's diary. And it's like, I don't think she fully had the idea of the Horcruxes yet when she started laying them out. Maybe.
I think she did. I'm pretty sure she knew the whole story before she wrote the books.
That is a good way to...
Because Harry Potter himself is a Horcrux. Don't you forget.
True.
But did she know that, or did she plan that ahead of time? Who's to say?
That is a good
can
question.
say?
I don't know.
I mean, at some point even before like Order of the Phoenix or Goblet of Fire, I think she does have the Horcrux idea down. But I think with this first one, it just kind of feels like the diary was destroyed, but it didn't affect the long-term plan or like scare Voldemort at all, Because he has how many are there? There's the diary, the ring, and Harry are like the extra ones, and then there's the 4 house items or something like that.
There's 7.
Oh yeah, the locket, because
There's 7
there's
and
nothing
Harry is
related
the
to
8th
Gryffindor,
one.
right? Okay, we'll talk about those later because I do think it'd be funny to try to guess what all they are because I can't remember them all off the top of my head.
Nope.
But this movie introduces the concept of Voldemort a little bit more. I mean, he's on the back of Quirrell's head, but he's more like he who must not be named. And then this movie we have like Tom Riddle and the diary. We get more of the first iteration of Snapchat in the book. He writes the little word and it disappears, and then the next message comes up in the DMs. No, it's funny. I think this movie has a cool mystery to it, right? We have like these petrifications, a couple students and a cat throughout the movie, and none of them are dying, but like the basilisk seeing its eyes or whatever is supposed to be lethal. So we have like the kid with the camera, he sees it through the camera, or like the cat sees it in the reflection of the water or something. And they all have these different little random things that prevented them from dying and just being petrified instead. So it's not like obvious to us what is happening. Not that we would know what a basilisk is before the movie started, I suppose. But it's like it's off the radar of all the teachers and stuff who would know. And we also have all these like blood messages on the wall talking about the Chamber of Secrets. And we're like trying to piece it together, and we follow Harry through the movie. And I don't know, after like not being afraid anymore to like being brave and watching this movie, I think it's a lot better than I give it credit for, or gave it credit for when I was younger, because it has like this interesting mystery to it. We learn about the four houses and how they had like their prime people that they're all named after, and how they built Hogwarts up. And is this a movie where we learn about Hagrid's past too? And him getting expelled? I think.
Maybe.
Yes.
I find this one really
so.
boring, so I kind of zone out when I watch this. So.
Oh,
I
I
don't
see
really
a
remember
foreshadowing to his ranking.
Yeah.
That could be. That could be.
Yeah. I fell asleep, so
Mm.
that says something, I guess.
That kind of surprises me because I feel like, but also I think I watched this movie when I was pretty young. Because yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like what Joshua said, like it's the first time, I mean, it's not even, what is it, the second movie? So it's like the first one that's scary. And so it's like
Yeah.
creepy and kind of a thriller at times, like for kids it is. So I think when I first saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like there's so much mystery and you're trying to solve the mystery and figure out who people are. So I think when I first watched it, I thought it was so good. But maybe if I watched it again, or like if I could see it again with your eyes, like see it without having all of those memories of watching it as a kid, it might be different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it is just because I have literally no nostalgia towards the series. So like the first two movies are just like, I don't know. I just don't have any nostalgia. So they're much more of kids' movies than the rest of them are. So I don't think they ever really resonated with me much.
Yeah.
Just because that's,
It's
I
kind of
saw them
funny to bring that up though,
as a
because
20-year-old, and I like serious cinema.
yeah, it kind of makes me feel like these older movies have like they somehow were made to be nostalgic too. Like especially the first one has a lot of ooh ah moments where it kind of like shows you the majesty, the rum dum 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 rum dum dum.
Yeah, it's also the one John Williams score.
Right.
So it has that beautiful John Williams music touch, which is great.
You feel these first two movies, or at least the first one especially for me, is like the only one I have like nostalgia for, even though I also didn't grow up with the movies so much. I was just kind of osmosis aware of them through Caitlin. Kelsey, thoughts on Chamber of Secrets?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I also, when I first saw it and read the book, was really interested in the mystery of it, and I like the perspective of, learning about Voldemort from like a different perspective than just him, but like his past self or whatever.
Right.
I think that's cool. I do think I kind of agree with Jordan a little bit sometimes too, where it's probably not one that I would just decide to watch. I think it does feel a little bit boring to me sometimes too, but not a bad movie. Just
Not the
not my
best.
first choice, probably. I don't know. Yeah, not the best, but yeah,
Well, there you go, folks.
that's it.
We all unanimously hate Chamber of Secrets. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
It's kind of like, it feels like the first bridge into the more mature movies as the characters and the actors are growing up. And so maybe they jumped the gun a little bit on the darkness, and there's like no sunlight in any of the movies following this one. So it would have been nice to have like two somewhat happy ones, maybe.
Yeah.
I guess I'm going to retract my she didn't know anything about the Horcrux stuff, because in Chamber of Secrets is the first time we see Harry. Oh no, he does it in the first movie actually. He speaks Parcel Tongue, which is a uniquely Slytherin trait. Just another thing to add to their resume of being evil people. So that's like one thing that Tom Riddle could do. And so maybe that's something that he imprinted on Harry when he put part of his soul in there as well. So,
yeah.
I'm gonna recant my statement.
Maybe she is a genius.
She really is. She knew everything.
Yes.
Okay. Prisoner of Azkaban sees Chris Columbus out, and Alfonso Cuarón comes in, the big dog. Alfonso Cuarón holds the camera, and that is respect for me. I think directors that hold the camera are awesome. So I think aesthetically, this might be my favorite movie, just in terms of how it looks. I think, it just, there's a lot of like free cam where it feels more like an actual movie than the first two are like very CGI heavy at times, and this movie feels a little bit more real to me. I don't know. I just like Alfonso Cuarón. We're in 2004, by the way, so we can kind of age ourselves appropriately at the time.
Yes.
And
4 years
feel
old.
how we, 4 years, about there, 4 or 5, depending on when it came out. Yeah, I didn't see any of these movies in theaters. I don't think I even saw Deathly Hallows in theaters.
Yeah, I don't think you did because I saw him with Dad.
Yeah.
That you.
So, I think the internet would say that Prisoner of Azkaban is the best Harry Potter movie. I think that is
I think that's the general consensus.
the general
Wait,
the
thought.
internet.
The internet thinks Prisoner of Azkaban is the best Harry Potter movie.
Yeah.
That's
That's the general opinion.
The
I
internet
believe
is
so.
wrong.
Ooh. I think I can tell you guys right now which one Caitlin likes the most. I think I know, but I'm not going to say it yet.
I can't wait to find out what you think.
Um,
But not to give anything away, I won't give its order yet, but I did not rank this one in the top half.
oh,
Of my
not even in the top half. That-
This movie
Goodness.
is lame.
Whoa,
I think-
let's hear it, Caitlin.
I think that this movie for me was like, there's some parts of it that are so foreshadowing and like really cool, like characters that are introduced. Like Sirius, of course, is an amazing character that we meet, and like his whole storyline is really, I think, I don't know, it's really weaves itself in with Harry's life in such like a delicate and like special way. It's like a really cool relationship. But then I just hate the werewolf thing. I felt like when there was werewolves in Harry Potter, I said to myself, this isn't Twilight. And I hated it. And I don't like the werewolf thing. So I think it's just one of those elements where I'm like, I get why this is happening, and it's, I don't know, it's like kind of symbolic, but and the werewolf, I feel like all that magic with the werewolf guy, like it leads them to find out things about Peter Pettigrew, which is really insane. But
Kind of
it also feels
when you
like
think about it.
random that there's just a werewolf, and I don't like it.
Yeah. You know, I agree with you, Caitlin. I do not like this movie very much.
Wow.
Yes.
I had a realization watching these movies. I was like, man, is Harry Potter, do I even like Harry Potter?
What?
I just don't think the first few movies just aren't really for me. I don't think. I just don't super enjoy the first few that much. I think for whatever reason, I don't know. I think they're kind of goofy, the werewolves and things that I'm just like, whatever. But I like, people talk about Alfonso Cuarón a lot, like Joshua, but I've never been impressed by this movie visually. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Hard to hear.
Joshua.
Hard to hear.
I don't know. I like Gary Oldman is Sirius. I like him a lot.
He's so good.
I really like that scene at the end where Snape and Sirius and the other guy with the mustache is there.
Yeah.
And they have their conversation about Peter Pettigrew, and the kids are there too and all that. And I like that conversation a lot, but I don't know. I don't know. I just don't love this one that much.
Yeah.
I don't really have
I do-
anything
I
else.
think Yeah, I think that scene in the house at the end when they're all talking, it's almost like if you haven't seen more of the movies or read more of the books at the time, I feel like there's even things that they say in that conversation that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like there's dialogue that you wouldn't understand yet. And so it's kind of cool when you've seen more of the movies and you go back and you watch that whole scene and now you know more about the people. It's cool, but that's the only thing this movie's got going for it. So hot take.
Brutal. All right, I'm gonna let Kelsey go, and then I'm gonna talk about this one.
Oh man.
So I actually really like this one.
Yes.
Sorry, guys. But I do think that a lot of the reason why I like it is because I liked the book so much, and I think there's a lot of stuff in the book that's not in the movie, and you just see more of the background of Lupin and Sirius and Harry's dad and like their friendship and stuff like in their background, and it talks about how like they found out that Lupin was a werewolf, and so then they learn how to transform into animals. They can like help him and that kind of thing. And yeah, I remember because when I read the book, I had seen the movie but didn't really remember what happened that much. And so then that scene in the house, I was, what is going on? Like it was surprising and yeah, to me. So I don't know. I do like it. I do think that the movie was a little disappointing after reading the book because there was so much that was not in it. But yeah, I don't know. I just felt like the story was really interesting. So that's just me.
Yeah, that's probably the case for a lot of these. Is if I had read the books, I probably obviously would enjoy more aspects of them. But Caitlin's read the book and she doesn't like it.
You know,
There you go.
So there
that's
you
fine.
I mean, you can probably say that
Okay,
about
Josh.
all of the movies, that the books are better than the
Yeah.
movies. That's just the general consensus of books. It's too
Yeah,
bad
that's
that books don't make as much money.
Yeah.
I do like this movie a lot. I just think that we have David Thewlis is R.J. Lupin, and Gary Oldman and Alan Rickman. That scene in the house, you guys have mentioned it a couple times. I think that's one of the best scenes in Harry Potter. Just a couple old British actors living it up, doing it big.
Yeah.
And it's their performances are so good. Snape is so good. Oh, I love him. He's the best character, hands down.
Yes.
I think the time travel part is awesome.
Yes.
They do it, but like Dumbledore is he's kind of aware about it, and so he's like 2 turns should do it, and he knows that like saving Hippogriff's life will lead to a timeline where they will also save Lupin's life, or Sirius, because he's about to get the death touch. And we get the Dementors, too, which is a cool concept.
True.
About them, like, sucking the happy memories out of you. That's terrifying. I don't know. This movie is just really cool to me. It has so many elements of intrigue. It really expands the world. And like you said, we get the Marauders map. So we learn a lot more about the Harry's father. What's his name? James. My dad's name.
Your dad, yeah.
James and his friends and their cool map. We go to Hogsmeade for the first time. They just I think it really just expands the world a lot. And I don't know if I've mentioned it on this podcast or to any of you guys, but world building is my favorite part of a story. And like creating a whole different reality for us to live in and explore is really what immerses me into a story. So for this one to be the first one that kind of really is like, hey, check out this, like we're going to get some history and we're going to show other aspects of the school, and you know, they talk about permission slips, and I was like, that's something I can relate to. You know, it's literally nothing, but it is an important plot point for whatever reason in this movie. So
Yeah.
I just think that it has a lot of aspects that I personally like a lot. So it moved up the ranking a couple bit times while I was trying to think of where it would land.
You know what's so funny is I totally forgot about the time travel part when I was talking about this earlier. I think I was just really focused on the werewolf thing. And like I just kind of like forgot that they do like I remember, the scenes where they're watching from behind the pumpkins and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I forgot until you were just talking about it how they they go back and forth to the same scene so many times. That is really cool. I think it is like cool filmmaking, like just the idea of that and like the idea of them going like the same scenes or they're seeing over and over. It's really cool. And just like, you remember that one sound or, somebody breaks a plate or she throws the rock and hits herself and like, you're like, wait, oh, I forgot she did that. That's for this reason. So that is kind of cool, cool elements to the story. And also I think it's one of the first times where you see them in pedestrian clothes. Like,
oh yeah, they're not wearing their cloaks all the time.
Yeah.
So I think that's a kind of the kids I think get more personality I think in this movie, and like when Hermione punches Draco and like I don't know, I think they get a little bit more sparkle to each of their personalities than they had before. So.
Absolutely.
It might win one more point.
See how good is this movie, right? There you go.
I thought about it a little more.
So good.
Still not my favorite, but
and just I do like the werewolf stuff personally. I think they're a little too on the nose with it. Throughout the movie, they're like pretending that it's a secret, but it's like pretty obvious who the werewolf is and that there's a werewolf. Snape comes in when he's like subbing for him, and he's like, "Turn to page 394." And they he has this like slideshow about how to spot a werewolf and like all this stuff. And he's like, "Hey guys, there's a werewolf." So I think it's a little on the nose, but I think the way that the werewolf looks is not what I was expecting. He's like much more like skinwalker, like human looking.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of gross. But I kind of like it because it's gross. And I remember being scared of that too. And I was like, oh my gosh. They like break a stick or something and he like moves and it's like, oh, scary.
Pretty creepy.
Okay. Number 4.
We got a bunch to get through.
Goblet of Fire. This is Mike Newell directed this one. I have no thoughts on Mike Newell personally. Don't know anything.
Is this the only one he directed?
Yeah. All of the other ones are David Yates, baby.
My man.
David Yates. Goblet of Fire. I'm going to make a prediction right now. You don't have to comment at all. This is Caitlin's favorite. That's my official prediction.
You can't see her face.
Yeah, we can't see her face,
reaction.
but she's probably putting up a big grin because this is definitely her favorite one. Goblet of Fire has the Tri-Wizard Tournament,
It sure does.
which is dope. We get new schools, which also kind of brings into question the validity of the Sorting Hat and the houses and like the personality segregation that they do at this school. We don't know anything about the Victor Crumb's school or the what's her name, Petite Provence girl.
Something like
That was a joke for
Fleur?
Caitlin. Fleur, that's her name.
Fleur Delacour.
Fleur Delacour. Yeah.
I say her name like I say Charles Leclerc from Formula One. Charles Leclerc.
Charles Leclerc.
Fleur Leclerc.
He just won Silverstone. Shout out, Charles Leclerc.
Come on the podcast.
Come on the podcast, dude. Let's hear your thoughts on Formula Rush. We can watch Rush.
Oh, nice.
So we get like pro Quidditch in this movie. Voldemort comes back in this movie.
Yes.
Cedric Diggory is in this movie. There's a lot. This is like the official turning point, I would say. Like after this movie, we have aged up. This is also, we get a lot of blossoming romance and puberty and hormones going on in this movie. Everyone has Justin Bieber hair.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's the freeze
It's a
frame.
lot
at
of
the
hair.
end.
The
The very
freeze
famous-
frame
The famous freeze
on the
frame.
firebolt. That's great. That's good. We didn't talk about the hippogriff much, and Hagrid being a professor for a year.
We don't have time for that.
Yeah, okay. I liked it. That was cool. They're gonna put Buckbeak to death. I don't know. He's funny. I love him. What a great
gosh.
character.
It's great.
What else do we learn about this movie? I don't know.
This is Mad Eye Moody. except
Mad Eye
it's not
Moody,
him,
except it's
somebody
That's the
not.
whole thing.
Polyjuice
Yeah,
potion comes
love that.
back.
Yeah.
Is this the first time we really see the Dark Mark?
Yes,
Yeah,
they
I think
have
so.
the wizards with wands. That's my abbreviation for them. The Death
Wizards with
Death
wands?
Eaters. Yeah, it's a joke. The WWW, because they wear the hoods. I'm not gonna say any more on that, but
Okay.
the Death Eaters show up. We have the Dark Mark and the tattoo and all that stuff. They like ruin Victor Crumb's moment. Well, I guess it's after the game, so he's okay. But yeah, we have the Goblet of Fire with the age ring, and the twins trying to sneak in there with their spell. It doesn't work, and they turn old or something. This movie, I think, is like, it's got a lot of, it's kind of happier than the other ones. It kind of struggles a little bit between being like happy and having fun, and then being like, oh, this is a dark one. You know, we're gonna throw the gross little Voldemort baby in the pot. That's so gross.
Yeah.
And like Peter Pettigrew cuts his hand off. There's like a lot of like random gross dark imagery. Mad Eye Moody shows off all of the evil curses. Neville Longbottom update. This I think is when he is at his worst, I would say. He's really got the buck teeth going.
Yes.
He's very lanky. But you know, he goes to the dance with Ginny. So he's putting his foot out there. He's practicing his dancing. He's living it up. He's great. So, all right, I'll open the floor. Who's got strong thoughts? Caitlin's got strong thoughts. You know she does.
I think this is
I do
probably
like-
the internet's second favorite Harry Potter movie. Like if the internet's Prisoner of Azkaban fans, the Goblet of Fire fans.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's pretty good. I really like
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson. I wish
Yeah, he's good.
I wish he was alive at the end of it, but
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Yeah,
sorry guys.
they kill him so
Just
casually
kidding. This whole
too.
podcast is a spoiler
Yeah.
alert.
I don't know. I think this movie struggles with like it's this Goblet of Fire story plus it's this, I don't remember his name, but the side plot with the guy who's using the polyjuice potion to be
Something
Mad Eye Moody.
fudge. He's
Something, all of that. There's so many things going on that I kind of lose track of all the threads, and I forget that Mad Eye Moody isn't Mad Eye Moody for the entire movie.
Right.
And then he shows up in the rest of the movies, but like we've never met him before because we met this other guy who was pretending to be him. So
his name is
Yeah.
Barty Crouch Jr.
Oh
It's on it.
yes.
Barty Crouch Jr.
we get the Gandalf. I keep calling him Gandalf. Dumbledore's. Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
Famous meme.
Yeah, because
It's
in
very
the book,
intense.
the quote is like, Dumbledore says softly,
Yeah.
Harry, did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
Is it really? Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but then in the
I like-
movie, he's like sprinting at him. He grabs him. He's like, Harry!
You know, I kind of like it though because I feel like you're not really ever sure how much Dumbledore cares about Harry because like he's always giving him like half of an answer or like he's always so secretive, and I feel like you're kind of like, does he care about him or not? I don't know. And I feel like in that moment, he's really like, dude, like this is dangerous. You shouldn't have done this. And so I feel like it kind of humanizes him a little bit more, like makes you feel like he cares about Harry. But yeah, it also kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere.
It is kind of
So,
funny.
yeah.
Well, he grabs
Yeah.
the fourth paper out of the air, all dramatic, right? And he's like,
Oh,
Harry,
yeah.
Harry Potter,
Mhm.
Harry Potter. He's
Yeah.
screaming. Because he's like actually angry, and we don't really
Mhm.
see him like that much.
Yeah.
So I think that is a good point to bring up, that he is like scared for Harry. He knows how dangerous the tournament is. People die in it,
Yeah.
So
It's just so. It's also strange to me, like with the world building, like they're just like casually sending kids to the slaughter, basically, just like putting them in these like extremely in arenas with dragons and like that sort of thing. Like what is going on
Yeah.
in this
Yeah,
world where
like
they're
Hunger Games a little bit.
yeah, for real.
Yeah.
Like, it's really strange, but I like the Triwizard Tournament. I think it's a really cool concept, and the intrigue of like who put Harry's name in the goblet, and I think that all works well. Like it makes sense that they, people who work for Voldemort put his name in there to get him because they need him to be at
at the
Tom
end.
Riddle's grave or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So it makes sense, and that kind of ties together really well. And I love that scene where where Voldemort comes back. We get Ray Fiennes as Voldemort.
Yes.
And
Ray
makeup.
Fiennes.
He's so good. He's so, oh my gosh, Voldemort is like one of the best on-screen villains ever. He's just
All of
so
the
like
Slytherin characters
his
are better.
mannerisms. He's
Yeah.
just like, oh Severus. Oh. I love it in the last movie
Yeah.
when he is like,
Hands.
Harry Potter is dead.
Yeah.
Ah. I just love
Yeah,
it
he's
so
like
much.
almost goofy sometimes.
Yeah, he's so goofy,
and
but
like
he's
his
also
facial
like
expressions. It's just like
it's also terrifying at the same
but also
time.
Oh, yeah.
because you're like,
yeah.
When he hugs Draco and his hands are like
Yeah.
really
He's so
claws, he didn't like never closes his hands,
yeah,
or he'll
but
just
yeah,
and
I
then
love that.
he'll just kill random people for speaking out.
Yeah,
In the last couple movies, he's like super unhinged. So yeah.
and I like that. The ending is really weird because Cedric dies, and then they bring him back, and like his dad comes up, and he's like sobbing and like all this, and then they're just like, "All right, go back to school, play some Quidditch." It's like, and then it ends
Yeah.
on that kind of a happy note, and it's like, wait,
Yeah.
we just watched a kid get murdered.
But that scene itself is like really good. I think that guy who plays Cedric's dad
Oh,
is
yeah.
amazing. He's like,
Yeah.
"My boy, my son." It's like, oh wow, okay, this is real, So, Caitlin, have you spoken about this? You talked a little bit, right?
Not a little bit, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I really do like this one a lot. And yeah, I just think it's fun. I think it's a lot different than a lot of the movies. Like it's a totally different like experience and like adventure that they're on doing all the tasks and stuff. And so yeah, it's interesting. It's like just totally different. And yeah, I think it is kind of confusing, or like there's a lot going on. And yeah, I think they really do like tread the line between like a like a children's movie and like a scary movie, because a lot of it is kind of creepy and unknown, and then a lot of it is like, oh, we're playing this fun music and we're all having a competition, and like that we're going to the ball and we're dancing, and they have crushes on each other, but then somebody dies. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, right.
yeah, but I kind of
A
feel
lot
like
of up and down.
that's how it might feel to like go to Hogwarts. Like that's probably how
Yeah.
Harry really felt in his life, because like he's probably, until he figured out that there's even like there isn't really a war. Like Voldemort's not back until this movie, really.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like they are trying to just be kids, but now they're realizing like, oh yeah, like we can't just be kids because we're stuck in the middle of this war. So yeah, I don't know. It's a good one.
What's the girl's name that Harry has a crush on in this movie?
Cho Chang.
Cho Chang. That's right. Great name.
So strange.
I think it just like kind of popped into my head. This movie, they really like are diving into the romance and starting to like girls don't have cooties anymore kind of age, and they're like, how do you even talk to them? They're always in groups, and you know they and then they have the dance and they have the funny like, do you dance like a hippogriff song or whatever?
Oh yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, like you said, they're trying to be normal and hiding all of this dark undertone stuff, and the teachers are trying to keep everything safe and happy and orderly, and then real stuff goes down, right? Voldemort is back. And I think the next movies, segue, also, like, especially the Ministry of Magic is very much like Voldemort is not back, everything is fine, we have everything under control, Harry is just a psychopath, and he's lying, no way he's back, blah, blah, blah. And so that's like, I think that's kind of cool that they're showing this, like, the adults are willfully ignorant, I guess. And then the kids are like, hey guys, we got to actually do this. And that's what the Order of the Phoenix is, right? So we talked about Order of the Phoenix.
To the
Boom.
Order of the Phoenix.
Nailed it. Okay. This is the first of the David Yeats, which is what are the four movies that David Yates made. David Yeat. Order of the Phoenix starts off dark and scary with Dementors. Harry gets expelled for a couple days or something because he conjured a Patronus charm.
Oh yeah, isn't this like the first time they go back to his old neighborhood and you see Dudley and he's like really old and you're just like, what?
Yeah.
Giant. Yeah.
Grown man.
Yeah, he's big. And he's got like that like 2000s very shiny sports clothes on.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, oh, whoa. Yeah, that is what we wore back then. Yeah, I don't have much to say on Order of the Phoenix personally. This movie is kind of a bore to me. I do like once they actually have like, I do like Luna showing up and like having their little Dumbledore's army and going in. And Bellatrix is good. She shows up in this movie. So at the very least, there are elements that I do like, but overall I think this movie's kind of a bore. So I don't have much to say on this one. But
That's so funny because I'll go ahead and say I think this is the best one. This is my favorite one.
Wow.
Legit, I think this is the best Harry Potter movie, guys. I love Order of the Phoenix a lot. I think it's so good. I think it has everything, all that Harry Potter has to offer in this movie. Like, it has fun world building. That he goes on the night bus at the beginning of the movie. That's a really fun, like, crazy.
isn't that in the third one?
Or isn't that in this one?
No, I think
No, maybe
it's
it
in
is
this
Mission
one.
I think
Basketball.
it's in both.
No, it's
maybe.
in.
The purple
think the
bus.
first
That's in
time
the
is
third
in-
one, because
Okay.
he sees the Grim.
Oh yes, he sees the. Yeah, that. So never mind.
But
Never
I
mind
do
about
Sorry,
think
that.
sorry.
they all together, they go on the bus all together, don't they, at one point? Maybe not.
That may be.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Anyway,
But
Maybe not.
Go ahead,
anyway,
continue.
I think Dolores Umbridge is the best like
Oh, that does happen in
antagonist
this movie.
other than Voldemort. Obviously, I think she's such a good like antagonist to have in Hogwarts for this movie, like to be kind of that presence of Voldemort's like allegiance in Hogwarts. She's kind of like becomes. Does she become headmaster in this one? Or she
Yeah.
just comes.
Yeah.
She's a professor at first, and then Gandalf. I keep calling him Gandalf. Dumbledore does his like thing at the end.
Oh, the
and,
YMCA.
yeah, he does. And then he explodes and vanishes. I love that part. And I think this movie has the best magical battle in any Harry Potter movie ever.
That
at
I
the
can
very
agree
end.
with.
It's the best. Like, it makes everything else in these movies look so lame, because at the end, Voldemort fights Dumbledore in the Ministry, and it's just the coolest. Like, they're just like these two master level wizards, just like throwing these crazy spells at each other. And in the next movies, there's just a lot of like pew 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 pew, and it's just like that's all they really do in the next movies is like they just like shoot their wands at each other like guns.
And
But
there's
in
no
this
music
movie,
during
at
that
the
fight
end,
either.
There's no music. There's just cool spells happening. And I love just like you talked about, like everyone, all the adults are kind of against Harry. Like, Voldemort's not back. You're not the chosen one or anything. You're just a kid who's crazy and whatever. And I love that Harry becomes like a leader in this movie. Like, he starts being a teacher and teaching the students how to fight, and they kind of pull together in that way in the requirement. And they have somebody to fight against with Dolores Umbridge, and she's just kind of this crazy evil lady.
She really is like crazy evil.
Yeah, and I love it. I think it's great. It's just so fun. Any other thoughts?
Maybe I retract my statement a little bit about it being a bore. I kind of spaced the whole Umbridge thing. There's a scene in the middle of the movie where she's starting to take over, and she fires Professor Trelawney. And there's a lot of stuff because Dumbledore is mostly absent in this movie after the YMCA move. And McGonagall kind of becomes the surrogate, like, core of older Hogwarts. And she has, like, this scene where she's trying to humanize or, like, appeal to Umbridge's humanity after she fired Trelawney, and that's like really nice. And then there's the scene where they're on the steps, and she like takes a step up the stairs to be taller, and then Dolores does it, and she kind of wins the argument, and then McGonagall takes a step down, and you watch them like she literally is like has the higher ground.
That's filmmaking.
Yeah, that's filmmaking right there. So I do like that. That's David Yeat right there. So I'll recant myself a little bit on that.
There
On
you
that.
go.
Bet.
I also feel like it is kind of slow up until the end. So I agree with you on that a little bit, Joshua. But I think the ending is really good. Like the part where they go to the place where they're trying to get the prophecy or whatever.
What is that place called?
The
Chamber of
is a
Secrets?
prophecy,
No.
right? Yeah,
Um,
in the Ministry, something like that. No,
It's like the Hall of Prophecies or something.
remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hall of Mysteries.
Hall of Mysteries.
That's the one, yes.
Maybe?
Nice
Yeah.
job. Collective thought.
Something like that. Yes. Yeah. So I think that's really interesting. And then, yeah, the scene at the end where they're all fighting, and then, like, Sirius comes out of nowhere, and then all the other people from the Order show up too, like that whole sequence.
Yeah.
But I do think, because I'm in the middle of reading this book right now, and I started it in like February, and it's just taken me forever to get through it. Part of that's just because I'm busy, but I just feel like there's so much. It's like it's dragging out each storyline a little bit too, and there's just like a lot of detail. But it is good. I do like it. But anyway.
Yeah, I guess to piggyback off that last statement, I don't think any of these movies are straight up bad. I think Chamber of Secrets might be a little rough around the edges, just because it's, 2004, 2002?
Right. Some of them are just old, you know, at this point.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't age well. But at the end of the day, I think the overarching story kind of helps bring all the movies up, right? The rising tide raises all ships. So Okay, Caitlin, you've been silent. Your thoughts and feelings on Order of the Phoenix.
I don't know. I don't have a lot of thoughts. Is this the one where Sirius dies?
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, that's like
That is
the
sad.
biggest take. I thought that was true, but then I had to confirm. But yeah, I think that's my biggest thing from this movie. That's just like it's so good and it's so sad. Like it, I think Harry is a very developed character in the books. He's really sassy and sarcastic and funny and complicated, but I think in the movies, he's honestly a little bit one-sided, I think. Because I just think Harry as a character has like such a big job to do that he doesn't have a lot of time to like crack jokes. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I think in this movie you really see just like a lot of like he's trying to be a teacher. He's like being really compassionate and like really trying to I think he flirts a little bit with Ginny or like when he sees her there's like a little bit of chemistry. So you get that side of him like finally and then you see like him being a compassionate teacher to his classmates and like really caring about them. And then you see him be really sad when he loses Sirius. So
Serious.
yeah, I think he has more levels to him in this movie than he has before. He becomes more of an adult. And so I really like that a lot. But yeah, I did have to really think about what happens in this movie. I think I hate you. You hate Umbridge so much that I feel like I never wanted to watch this one because I hated her so much. So I don't think I've seen this one as many times as I've seen some of the other ones that are more like a fan favorite one. This one just is, it's like harder to watch, I think.
Is this the scene with the part where we're in Sirius's house and we meet Creature, and there's like the big family tree room, and Harry is like, I'm so angry all the time. I think that's in this movie. That's like a really deep, like Daniel Radcliffe is acting now kind of a moment. Because like they're kids, they grew up acting and like, okay, now they're like old enough to kind of really be doing it and like learning the methods and all that sort of stuff. And so I think this is like the first time where these guys are like, we're really acting now. And so I like that about this movie because that's a very deep scene, like kind of getting into the nitty gritty of the character. Like you said, Caitlin, Harry is expanding a little bit because I do think he is kind of just like one note. He is Harry Potter. He has to be Harry Potter, and that's a complicated issue on its own. But then, okay, now we can kind of start to see him more human-like going forward, which I like.
All of the main characters are kind of that way. Like Ron is like he's kind of I can't think of the word other than bitchy. That's the only word I can think of. He's kind of just annoying all of the time and like he's not annoying. He's just like his personality. There's not a lot of depth to Ron as a character, I don't feel like, in the movies at least. And Hermione is kind of the same way where she kind of has her set like she's the smart one of the group and is always like giving definitions of things and reading time and that sort of thing. And I think the movies definitely struggled to like develop them as people, I guess. But I don't know. I think not the next one, but the first Deathly Hallows does a good job at like giving those three a little bit more like development. But yeah, that's Order of the Phoenix. It's a good time, in my opinion.
A good one. For some.
Good one.
What's next?
Half-Blood Prince is next.
Half-Blood.
This movie is a true David Yeat, in my opinion. One random note, just like as a movie, this movie is really yellow. I don't know if you guys notice that when you watch it, but like everything is like sepia tone almost. minus the flashbacks, which are green. But it's just like I watched the movie and I was like, wow, everything is just like gold, yellow lighting all the time. So that's just a random film note. But I love Half-Blood Prince. I think this is such a funny movie. And like we have like the Liquid Luck stuff with Harry, and all of the Quidditch scenes with the guy who's trying to schmooze up Hermione. And so we get a lot of funny moments with Ron, and he takes the love potion and like is in love with some random girl he's never met. Everything with Slughorn is really fun. I think this movie's just great, in my opinion. I think it's just like
that's a hot take. I feel like this is probably lower on most people's lists. I really like it. It's pretty high on my list too, but I feel like
Oh, I definitely think that this is like a low point for a lot of people. That a lot of people like see this one and they're like, okay, we're in the dark half, but then this movie has like a lot of humor and it's like past its expiration date. Like it's not okay to be funny and lighthearted anymore, and I think that's not true in my opinion. I think it's good that this movie has a little bit of light to it. I don't know. I just like, I'm happy to watch this movie. And all the stuff with the potions class and like watching Harry fall in love with this book and like learning how to be a potions master and all that stuff. And it's Snape at the end, which I guess, if I'm being honest, the whole Half-Blood Prince reveal at the end is kind of lame. It's not, it doesn't really have a payoff at all.
It's because like you just watched Dumbledore get murdered.
That's true.
So I don't care that you're the Half-Blood Prince.
Yeah.
You just killed Dumbledore.
I mean,
and this is Draco's best movie by a mile. Yeah. He is so good in this movie. I think
Draco honestly annoys me until this movie. I think he's just like really annoying the whole rest of the time. Because he's just like,
he's just a snotty nosed little twerp.
And dumb. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But this one, he is really good.
Yeah.
The scene in the greenhouse, when Harry has he taken like a potion or something?
Yeah, he
and
has
he's
the
like,
liquid luck.
Yeah, and then he says something about the pinchers. And he's like, not to mention pincers. And he does the thing with his hands. And it's just, he's like,
that is funny.
He's just kind of like being silly with the professor. And it's just so funny. I think you're right, Joshua. It like has that element of like, just humor that we've missed for a little bit. And you get to see Harry being like sarcastic and stuff and funny, which I think he is a lot in the books, but not as much in the movies. So it's cool.
It's like, he's like walking outside school grounds or whatever, past curfew, and Slughorn is there. He's like, Harry, and Harry's like, sir.
Yeah,
and he just kind of whispers back to him. I think it's just like really funny that whole time. So. And
I think Slughorn is like, I can't let you roam the grounds alone. And he goes, well, by all means, come along, sir.
Yeah.
Like that. He's just really funny in that.
Yeah, that's a good bit of dialogue. It's funny.
But I really like the intrigue of like he's trying to get in with Slughorn so that he holds like a memory of Tom Riddle asking him about Cruxes and all that stuff, and that's like the main thing in this movie is trying to get that information, and I like the intrigue and the conversation they have and that sort of thing.
There's like different versions of the memory as he's lying and trying to change it. Not dissimilar to another fantastic movie, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Just throw that in there. Great movie. Even though people hate
every
it.
podcast we're gonna tell everybody how good it is.
Such a good movie. Kelsey, thoughts, feelings, concerns, questions? Half-Blood Prince.
This one is not one of my favorites. I think I always struggle to even remember what happened to me, even though like I just saw it like 2 days ago. But I am like, what even happened? And I also, maybe I just missed this, but I don't really understand the significance of the Half-Blood Prince. Is it just that, like,
I think
that's
Snape literally
his
just made
one?
it up. I don't
Okay,
think
that's
there
what I was
is like a
wondering.
literal
Like, does it mean
difference. Like
something?
he's half magical or something. Or like
Yeah.
one of his parents
Okay, that makes
wasn't
sense.
or was a muggle or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I was just like, what does this even mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's fine. I don't, yeah, love it, but I just don't even really remember what happens in it most of the time, so
Yeah.
that's just me.
I think that's because like this series kind of feels like it goes on for a little bit too. Like I think
Yeah.
this one, Half-Blood Prince and Order of the Phoenix, kind of run together in my mind. Like,
Mhm.
because it really takes a while. Because Voldemort comes back in Goblet of Fire, and then it takes 2 more movies for like the big stuff to start happening.
Yeah.
So it kind of goes on for a while. So they kind of run together, I think.
I would agree with that actually. I think it's not to sound like weird and nebulous here, but it's kind of reminiscent of real life where like a big event will happen and then something else will happen and we like kind of lose our attention for the other big thing that'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's I guess it's realistic. Like Hogwarts takes 7 years to go through the whole school. So then each book is a year until like the last 2 is split into 2 movies, whatever. But it's kind of like, okay, it's Voldemort is going to have to take some time to like build up his army and all that sort of stuff and like re-network his villainous Death Eater camp in that time frame, right? It's not just going to instantly happen, which would be maybe better for a series of movies, but I think in the terms of the literal, it wouldn't just happen in a overnight. So
Sure.
just to hype up this movie a little bit more, I'd give it a
Yeah.
defense
I
on
also think like because you also have 3 movies before he comes back. So you have 3 movies, 3 entire movies. Then he comes back, and then you have 2 movies before, that stuff happens.
There definitely could be some fatigue if you're
Yeah.
trying to binge
does
these
make-
movies or something.
Yeah, watching them back to back makes it feel like a long time.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this movie was really just like a setup for the last 2 movies. Like you really just had it was really only important because you're like, what's a Horcrux and who made them and what are they? And then you had to know that to be able to get the next 2 movies, so you have to watch it, but you could have explained it in 5 minutes instead of 1 movie. So
Yeah.
And they don't really even fully explain it in this movie either. It kind of takes like the last movie, they do like a Sherlock Holmes-esque like full deep dive of all the little things that happen. So I think that's a little bit of an issue. Like we get to the end and then like, oh, now by the way, here's all of the cool, interesting things that happened throughout the movies that you didn't notice. Now you know, which makes me think that J.K. didn't know everything, but she probably
because
did.
it also doesn't really make sense because this movie, Dumbledore is trying to get that memory from Slughorn because he doesn't know about Horcruxes yet. But then in the last movie, you find out Dumbledore's known about Horcruxes for years since Harry was born, and he has been essentially raising this boy to be killed because he knows that will defeat Voldemort. So it's like, what?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
That is a little weird.
Maybe it's just that he doesn't know what he turned into Horcruxes, so he's trying to figure out if Slughorn knows what they were.
Maybe.
But good point. I had not even ever thought about that.
Because he is still like hiding stuff from Harry, I guess. Maybe he's playing it a little close to the chest. Anyway.
All right.
Last ones.
We're here into the finale, Deathly Hallows Part 1. Some would say this movie feels like it's 8 hours long. that it drags itself on way too long. I really like this one. I think this one has a lot of character depth, and do we spend any time in Hogwarts in this movie?
I don't think so.
I
Yeah,
don't think so.
They have to leave.
right. And this is the one where they go. Oh no, that's Deathly Hallows Part 2. Never mind. I was gonna say they go to Gringotts, but they don't. That's at the beginning of the last one.
Yep.
They're like they're Horcrux hunting, but they don't really even know what they're looking for, and it
Right.
kind of just has this whole, like, especially with Ron, he's wearing the locket for most of the movie, and it's kind of like slowly cursing him and making him angry, which is funny because the other two people are like trading it back and forth, and they know that it like makes them mad, but then they let Ron wear it for a lot of the movie anyway. And it's like, I don't know, I guess they're kind of just letting him have sad boy hour. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's like kind of a weird thing. But I think this movie just gives our three main leads a lot of time to really showcase what they've learned over the years and how they've grown as actors and people, and gives them time to be outside of the rest of the world and just kind of absorb what's occurred throughout all the movies. And I just really like that. I feel like it's very nice. And with all the stuff in the finale with Dobby, Toby Jones, what a tragedy.
I haven't even talked about
Tragic.
Dobby yet.
Yeah. Also, Peter Pettigrew is in this movie again at the end, and he gets like knocked out in the cell, and then he never shows up again. And that's like
Yeah.
the way
Is that real?
his character, that's how he like falls over off screen, and then
Yeah.
he's not in the next movie.
That's so funny.
Which is kind of funny for his
Yeah,
like
he doesn't even show up for the last battle.
very important character in terms of the
Unless-
grand scheme, and then he just
Unless Dobby
disappears.
just straight up murdered him, because he's the one who
That's true.
shot him in the back.
Maybe
of
it
the
was
lawn, so
lethal, yeah.
Maybe he just killed him. I don't know.
But
Yeah.
This
thought
one
that
had a
was
lot
kinda
of cool
funny.
stuff, like when the locket was on Ron and you get that high pitched frequency in the background, and you don't really notice it at first until all of a sudden it stops and you realize how loud it was. It's like there's a lot of cool things that they did with sound, when they're running through the woods and all you hear is the leaves.
yeah.
That's a really cool scene. So yeah, there's some really cool cinematographical things happening in this one.
I like that.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
David Yates. All
Yeet.
4 of his movies are pretty good. Well,
I think this is the best example of taking the last book in a series and splitting it into 2 movies. The ones that I've seen, because I haven't read the books, so don't take that as anything. But I feel like they handled it really well. Where like, if they would have just done this movie or this book in one movie, then they would have had to like rush past most of the stuff that's in part 1 of this book,
Yeah.
because they would have to get to the last battle or whatever. So I think it was a really smart move to split this movie and have this one be very like, it's slower paced and it's a little bit more like character driven. The 3 main characters are like, they don't have Dumbledore or Hogwarts to rely on by themselves, and they have to figure it out on the, which is really so yeah, I like this one too. I think it's a great movie that sets up the finale really well, and the end shot where it gets the Elder Wand and shoots his
Yeah.
lightning into the sky. It's pretty.
I remember watching that in theaters and it was like goosebumps, you know?
Yeah.
Like it was a really cool scene.
Right.
Mm.
That's
And I remember
wish
in
I could-
theaters watching that part and thinking like, you know, the build up, the movie is so slow, nothing's happening for so long. And then Voldemort finally gets the wand and you're like, okay, here we go. And then it's
Yeah.
over. And you're like, what?
Right.
It's the best cliffhanger ever. It's so good.
Mm.
Did you watch this
No.
one, Kelsey?
I got like halfway through this one. I didn't finish it. I mean, I have seen it before, but
Right.
yeah, I do like this one a lot. I think this is like a very minor detail, but the Harry and Ginny's storyline is funny to me because I'm sure that there's more detail in the book about them,
Yeah.
but it's just like it goes from, oh, Ginny's dating what's his name, and then they break up, and then oh, she kisses Harry, and now they're just like kissing each other sometimes, and like
Yeah.
that's pretty much
And
all the
Yeah,
Harry,
it's a
Harry
little
relationship
kisses
is.
Cho Chang in that one movie. And then
Yeah,
he kisses
right.
Ginny in the next movie. It's like, what?
Yeah,
Yeah, what happened
and
to
then
Cho?
it's like okay,
This
now they're
guy.
together.
Cho
Yeah,
like shows
I
up in
know,
the
that's
last
just funny
movie
to
and
me.
she's just like in the background.
Harry.
Forgot about her.
Yeah, she has an Irish accent, which I like.
It's really funny.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
She's an odd character to have. It's been over a decade since I read the books, so I don't know how much she's in those. If she's like an actual character in the books. But yeah, that's kind of funny.
She is, yeah.
There's a lot of like random
Or
side
Ellie's-
characters in the books, like the Patel twins. They like only come up
Yeah.
in the dance, but they're like in all the movies. And Dean Thomas, and I remember growing up. Well, I didn't grow up with the movies, but like when I was younger and I read the books, I loved Seamus Finnegan and like his antics and
funny.
getting blown up all the time. And he's like only in the movies for comedic relief and then getting mad at Harry about Voldemort a couple times. So that's like, it's a little disappointing that a lot of the side characters kind of get pushed off for the movies, even though there's 8 movies. So
Right.
Yeah.
that's a bit of a bummer.
And they
I
got
guess.
so much time.
Too many characters.
There are quite a few characters. This is the movie where they all drink the polyjuice potion and turn into Harry at the beginning.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good scene.
I
It's a
really
great
like
opening.
that. Yeah. And Hedwig dies,
Yeah.
Mm.
Bummer.
and then that guy who killed Hedwig kind of looks at them like, "Yeah, I killed that bird," and just leaves and stops pursuing them, which I think is kind of funny.
And then you get Voldemort shows up, and that's when he realizes that he can't use his wand to defeat Harry. The
Right.
Elder Wand.
It starts cracking. That was a pretty cool effect.
Yeah, for sure.
This movie also includes a short animated sequence talking about the Deathly Hallows, which I think is pretty cool. Learning about the Elder Wand and the Resurrection Stone. I think it's kind of funny that the invisibility cloak, which has been in all of the movies, is suddenly elevated to God status item. But then when it's first revealed in the first movie, Ron is like, "Oh, that's an invisibility cloak. That's so cool." Like it's some random item you can buy at a shop. So I thought that was kind of
And
funny.
then doesn't he say that in this movie he knows about the Deathly Hallows? That he's like heard the story since he was a kid?
Oh yeah, everyone knows about
So
the
what did
Deathly
he know?
Hallows.
About
Yeah,
invisibility?
Obviously.
it's a little
Right.
odd. Maybe, I mean, invisibility itself is not like a super unique power, so maybe
Yeah, right.
someone figured out how to do that, and they have, I mean, it's just a green screen, right? So they can figure out how to do magic like that. But
Easy.
yeah, so maybe of all the Deathly Hallows, that one kind of got mass produced over the years because it was a cool idea.
Yeah.
But any more thoughts on Deathly Hallows?
Oh, last but not least.
The big grand finale.
Two.
Okay, and here we are. We've made it to the last movie, the final David Yeat, 2011. We have made it. Neville Longbottom is hot now. He's done it. He's
He did
Never
the greatest
Full
glow up in
blossom.
cinematic history. And he has a super victorious moment in this movie,
Yeah.
which is
He has
awesome.
things to do in this one.
That's great. Okay, Deathly Hallows is the dramatic finale. Time for a big fight. There this movie starts off with the Gringotts heist too. They're getting the Hufflepuff goblet, which is cool. What's her name? Helena Hufflepuff. She has a little cup that she likes. I really do like that scene a lot. I think it's kind of cool to have, like, one of the first magical things we experienced in Harry Potter was Gringotts and, like, the intrigue of this secret vault and that sort of thing. And then we kind of start our finale there as well. Just a fun little mirror-esque moment to have in a movie, which I like. And then it's just 100 miles an hour, huge battle takes place. Everybody's dying left and right. And then it's over. And Harry breaks the Elder Wand and throws it in the river.
He sure does.
And he hugs Voldemort.
He hugs... Oh, yeah, they, like, become one when they're, like, flying through the air.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Really wild.
This movie is not my favorite movie. I think
Sorry.
it's just... I think it's
Did you hear
just...
my computer again?
I did, yeah, that's funny.
You can say your thing one more time, sorry.
I think this movie is just kind of like... I don't know, it feels like a Marvel movie to me, where it's just gonna be... We're just gonna have a big wizard battle. And, I mean, it's cool, and it's dramatic, and there's a lot of characters that show up, and it's cool. We have Aberforth shows up and shoots his super Patronus at all the Dementors that are coming, and McGonagall gets to use the spell. I've always wanted to use that spell moment, and that's fun. But it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's just a big fight, and then they win. Something about me specifically that it's like, I just want, I don't like when it ends, you know?
Yeah.
It feels like, because, like, movies have to end happy ending. So, like, that's, like, the most predictable part of every movie is, like, yeah, Harry's gonna win at the end. Like, they're not gonna end Harry Potter with Voldemort winning or Harry dying or anything. And so, I know that that's, like, super lame, and, like, sure, happy endings are better than sad endings for the most part. But it just, like, we had such a great, long, like, drama movie, and, like, Dobby dies, and it feels sad, and you have this, like, low point, and then this movie is just, all I do is win, 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 no matter what, and it's, I don't know, it just kind of feels like it, they separated the movie into two parts, and the first half is so good because of it, and the second half is not good because of it. That would be my takeaway, I think. So
Yeah. But I think
Wow.
if they would have just made one movie, it would have been even worse.
yeah, I think neither, or this one wouldn't have been that much better. So
Right, yeah.
I have different feelings. I think that this movie's so well, and this is probably because of nostalgia, and when you grow up watching the movies, you've waited how many years to get to this finally. And so, like, yeah, when you're finally at the very end, it's just like, I think it's really satisfying, and like, it's cool to just like finally see everything come to fruition at the end. And like, I don't know, I think there's a lot more to it than just the battle. You see the whole Snape's childhood, all those scenes, and his relationships with James and Lily, and that's kind of cool, like something you've never seen before.
that is true, yeah.
And I think Snape's death is like I think that's the sad point that you're missing, you know, like Harry's not going to die, like Snape dies. And you might not feel as sad right away until you learn how much he's loved Harry his whole life. But I think that whole arc is like just so good. It's so good. So I don't know. I love this movie. And I think, yeah, I just like, finally getting to the end and having watched these movies like your whole life, it's kind of like, yeah, it's just like so good. But that's my personal take.
Yeah, maybe I'm
Yeah.
maybe I'm being a little obtuse just thinking about the final battle, because I love Snape, and this is his final arc, and he's crying, and he's, like the bit with him like crying out his memory, and he's like, take them. That's like, oh wow, that really is good. So thank you for reminding me about that part, because that really is like the tragedy sad part that I like. I don't know, I just like the sad movies. And this is like that is a really good point to bring up. So I'll ease off a little bit. It's not that bad.
And they also, isn't this when they take the polyjuice potion to turn into those 3 people and they go back into the ministry? That's pretty funny.
That's good too, yeah.
Pretty good scene. So yeah.
Okay.
There's
The
some
first half of
there's
this
some
movie is still
solid-
pretty good. All right. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, I like this one. I think I agree with both of you. I think there's good, and also like I really just the thing that I dislike most about Harry Potter is just like the spells that they use are just like, if I could count how many times they say stupefy, I would have, that number would be large. They just say stupefy and then they
Expelliarmus.
just go yeah, and they're just like, it doesn't really feel like a cool wizarding world because they just use the same like 3 or 4 spells over again. And like in this movie, like one of the Slytherin boys like summons a fire dragon, and like where's that stuff like throughout the entire series other than a few?
Yeah.
So I do think like the last battle between Harry and Voldemort is super uninteresting because they just shoot their beams of light at each other, and that's all it is. They do that, they like, or they become one, and have that weird moment of flying through the air, which is kind of,
Let's finish this, Tom.
yeah,
Or whatever he says.
I think it's disappointing from an action movie perspective, but I do like all of the the revelation of Snape being having connection to Harry and his mom. I think that's really good. And I really like Harry's conversation with Dumbledore in that limbo heaven space.
Yeah.
Oh, King's
I
Cross.
think that's really cool. King's Cross. Like that part, and Hagrid bringing Harry back, which is really sweet little moment. And yeah, and when Neville pulls the sword of Gryffindor out of the sorting hat, this is like sweet.
Yeah.
Cuts the head off of Nagini, which is pretty dope.
Nagini.
And then it just ends, and then it's kind of grinds to a halt right at the end. But
Then they jump forward in time, and Ron really let himself go. He's got.
yeah,
Dude, they make them look
He's just-
so old.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
poor guy,
weird.
he's not a bad looking dude in general, but like he's just shaped really weird. His face is it's just a
Yeah.
strange
Yeah.
shape. He gets a
Poor
bad
Ron.
rap.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kelsey?
Yeah, I haven't seen this one in like probably a year and a half, so I feel like I don't have a whole lot to contribute to that. But yeah, I feel like I agree with Caitlin. Like, I feel like it's cool, just like the culmination of everything. And I like the scene with everybody at Hogwarts, all of the characters that all like coming together. And I do like it. You guys talking about it is like making it all come back to me, but yeah, having a hard time. Yeah,
I really
remembering
like the
everything.
part where they're all gathered in the hall. Snape is like trying to intimidate them into telling him stuff about like where Harry is, and then Harry just like steps out, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Dude, step off, Snape! Out
Looks
of my
like you got a bit of a
my house."
security problem.
Yeah. Get out of here, man! And then McGonagall kicks him out, which is pretty dope.
She uses some cool like lava whip spell or
Yeah, she
something.
does.
She's like.
Pretty cool. I like
Yeah.
when Ron's mom kicks the crap out of Bellatrix.
Oh,
Yes.
Mm.
she murdered him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her-
But yeah, she straight up just like blows her up.
She
Like,
turned her. She turned her into a
to
stone
pieces.
and then like
Yeah.
obliterated it.
That's wild.
I was like, whoa.
That's awesome.
It's got some fun.
Yeah.
That's Harry Potter.
Is that it?
That's it.
Wow.
Did it.
All
Yeah,
right,
wrap this thing
guys. We have
Our moms are gonna
spoken
be so upset with us.
at length about the Harry Potter films. Let's rank them all. I randomly just put them in this order. Starting with Kelsey. Gonna put her up on the hot seat to
All right.
rank these movies. Let's see it. We're gonna go from bottom to top, if you would.
Okay. I just like went with my gut with this. I don't think that I could defend my reasoning behind it, so just throwing that out there.
No judgment
But,
here. This
okay.
is Planet Fitness, all right?
Great. Okay. Doing it. Okay, starting from the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're
Okay. Yes.
here.
Okay. There's 8 of them. Okay, so my number 8 is Sorcerer's Stone.
Wow.
Number...
No, it's fine, it's fine. No judgment, no judgment.
Oh my gosh.
He said no judgment.
Judgment's Spain.
Sorry, so sorry.
He hated that.
You hated that.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorcerer's Stone. Number 7 is
is
Chamber of Secrets.
Chamber of Secrets.
6.
6.
Half-Blood Prince.
Half-Blood Prince.
5. Order
Order
of
of
the
the
Phoenix.
The Phoenix.
4 is Deathly Hallows
4
Part
is
2.
Deathly Hallows Part
3.
Deathly Hallows Part 1.
Number 2,
Number 2
is
Prisoner of Azkaban.
And
My number 1 is The Goblet of Fire.
Boom.
So basic, Kelsey.
Sorry.
No, she put Sorcerer's Stone at the bottom. I wouldn't say that that's basic.
The very.
Yeah.
I thought of it in like if I was just
gonna
choose one of these movies to watch, like not in order, but just like whatever. Which ones would I choose?
I think that's a good way to go about it, yeah.
Thank you.
Stuff.
All right.
All right, I'm up next.
Who's
Next.
At the bottom, number 8, I have Chamber of Secrets. Number 7 is Order of the Phoenix. Number 6 is Deathly Hallows Part 2. Hot take, perhaps. Number 5, even scorching hot fire take. Number 5 is Goblet of Fire. Number 4, I have Sorcerer's Stone. Banger. Number 3 is Deathly Hallows Part 1. Number 2 is Prisoner of Azkaban, and my number 1 is Half-Blood Prince.
Wow.
Whoa.
Maybe a
Okay.
unorthodox,
Sick.
Okay.
unorthodox ranking, but
Yeah.
Interesting.
all right. I think Caitlin is up now.
Okay. Here we go.
Let's hear it. The most
My number
refined
8.
list.
I don't know. I think some of mine are fueled by emotions and not necessarily what makes the movies the quote best. So we'll see.
Nostalgia.
What is your ranking? So.
Number 8.
Yeah.
I have Half-Blood Prince.
Oh.
I didn't really remember what happened in it, and for those reasons, it is out. Okay.
Ooh, Shark Tank.
Number 7 is Prisoner of Azkaban. I also kind of forgot what happened in that one, so it goes to the bottom.
Wow.
Not memorable. Number 6 is Order of the Phoenix. Number 5, I have Chamber of Secrets. Number 4, I have 7 Part 1. Number 3, I have Sorcerer's Stone. Number 2, I have The Goblet of Fire. And number 1, I have Deathly Hallows Part 2. I think that one, yeah, like I said, is not even probably the cinematically or like, the best movie, but 7 Part 2 is one I could watch over and over again. Just love it for the nostalgia, love it for the memes, for the emo. So yeah.
The memes. I feel that. All right. Well, I just say that Goblet of Fire was your number 1 because I feel like that is the one we watched the most of like the
Probably,
movies
yeah.
that I've seen the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally understand like your like this is the culmination of all of it. It's like I love Endgame so much because I grew up with the Marvel movies, you know, and that's the big finale. So I do understand. Maybe that's a little bit hypocritical for me to put it so low on the list. All right, Jordan, finish us off.
All right, here we go. My number 8 is also Chamber of Secrets. Number 7, Sorcerer's Stone.
Ooh, wow.
Number 6, Prisoner of Azkaban. Number 5, Goblet of Fire.
Hey, yo. That's a nice spot for Goblet of
Whoa.
Fire.
Yeah. Number 4, Half-Blood Prince. Number 3, Deathly Hallows Part 2. 2, Deathly Hallows Part 1 is Order of the Phoenix.
All right, so
Alone in that one.
we all have a different list. I don't know if any of us really had a similar list, I would say. So that's cool.
Yeah.
We all have a different perspective on these movies and a different
Yes.
list of ranking them. No one had the same favorite movie, at least, which I think is cool. So good for us, guys. Well done. We really did it all. This
Sure
has
did.
been Quarter Twins, one full twin edition. Jordan, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we're talking about a piping hot, fresh movie coming out today, Love and Thunder. Joshua's seeing it tonight,
Tonight,
and
like
I'm
in
seeing
an hour.
it tomorrow. So, yeah, go see Thor: Love and Thunder. Join us to talk about it, give our thoughts. I feel like it's going to be interesting conversation. I'm not hearing great things, but I'm also hearing some good things. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm so interested to see what's
I'm
going
very hopeful, but we'll see.
Yeah.
The internet is so rarely wrong, you know.
Yeah.
So
Right.
we shall see
So-
what they think.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kelsey and Caitlin, for showing up. You've been phenomenal guests.
Thank you.
I
for
hope
having us.
we can come up with some other excuse to have you guys on the show again sometime, because this was fantastic. I think it may have been a little long of an episode,
sorry.
but
This
we
is
had
a lot of movies.
8 movies. We had a lot to say, so I had a blast.
Sorry, Mom.
Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys for watching. Please share, favorite, subscribe, all that good stuff. Comment if you would. Spread the word on the Instagrams and the Be Reels and whatever kids are using these days. I don't know.
Yes.
And we'll see you guys next week for Thor: Love and Thunder. Bye bye.